Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Natural 40 Games. This is Dungeon Master Andrew, and I am here to talk about a few things today. The title of this video, number one, I have run 291 sessions of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition since the new player's handbooks dropped. I've got it right here. I've got my stack of the amazing core books for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and I gotta say, I did my original video on after I had run 100 sessions with the new handbooks, and I had a bunch of opinions and experiences there. And I just got to say, as I had said in the previous video, treating the new core books as new options on top of 5th edition is the way. 100%. Letting folks freely choose between which base class to use has been incredibly fruitful for my games. No one has felt like their old things are gone and they can't play the way they want to anymore. New options for those who choose have been great. I have approximately a 60% 40% split between players using the old base classes and the new base classes, and that's in favor of the new base classes. So most of my players are using the new options, and it's great. It's been working out great. The next thing that I have dug very deeply into with the new Dungeon Master's Guide is one of my favorite things about that is the new experience point budget for encounter building. I did a whole bunch of math and charting on the experience point budget and have found that using that to build my encounters for challenging 5th edition combats has been wonderful, and it has made me a much better Dungeon Master to run thrilling, intense combats. So it is on page 114 of your Dungeon Master's Guide here, and I just want to point out to it really quick here. So page 114, here it is, the experience point budget per character. Now, there's 3 columns: low difficulty, moderate difficulty, and high difficulty. And it does not take very many high difficulty combat encounters for players to level up if you're tracking character experience points. I'm running a campaign right now that they just hit level 8 at the end of session 16, and I've just been running enough difficult encounters that they have made it there via experience point tracking for combat and for quest completion. I love it. It has honestly elevated my game. The other thing on that is I have, in my own calculations, made a higher difficulty. There's low, medium, and moderate in the book, and then there's the natural 40 difficulty, where you take the high difficulty and double it. And that's what you want to do for your boss fights, for your super intense challenges, the chapter-defining moments, the life or death struggles, and oof, it's super fun. My last episode where they fought a alpha werewolf and +6 werewolves in their found home within the city of Brightshade, that is an example of a natural 40 balanced encounter. Actually, that was more than double. That was almost double and a half. And ooh, they barely got through. Now, the other thing I wanted to say is with the options in the new core books, there's still things I'm choosing as Dungeon Master to use from the 2014 core books. Counterspell, Exhaustion, Surprise. Those 3 mechanics I'm still using the 2014 versions of, and they work. They work great. 2024 Exhaustion has got the difficulty in adding more numbers as opposed to using advantage and disadvantage. Floating modifiers is not something that Dungeons & Dragons 5e does very much. So it causes so much more of a death spiral so much more quickly. Because of the bounded accuracy of 5th edition, if someone has 1 or 2 levels of exhaustion, they're failing at just about everything at that point with a -4 to every roll. So 2014 Exhaustion is much kinder. It's just advantage or disadvantage, and you can use the gameplay mechanics of 5e to generate advantage to cancel those out through the help action and other features. So it's far less brutal. So naturally, I'm going to use it in my upcoming hardcore Curse of Strahd 2024 campaign because it is more brutal. So that's going to be good. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the new hot game on the scene. That's right, Darrington Press's Daggerheart. I just picked this book up a couple days ago. I have with my home game with my wife. She has generated a character, and I have written out my own campaign frame to run Daggerheart games in the world of Exandria, which is the setting for Critical Role's games. So I'm like, this is going to work fantastic. I have not run a single session yet, but I do have some thoughts about it after watching Age of Umbra and preparing to run games myself. Number one, compared to 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, it has so much tighter math. The numbers are so much smaller in terms of what you add to your rolls. It's only your core attributes, not all these skill proficiencies. Skill proficiencies aren't really a thing in Daggerheart. You have your core attribute bonuses, and you have your experiences, which you can spend hope to add. So you're not always using those, because hope is a fluctuating resource that you gain and lose throughout an adventure in Daggerheart. The duality dice is a very interesting mechanic that I think is fun. It adds a little bit more complexity to the resolution of every roll, because you need to roll, add your attributes, decide if you're adding hope experience, adjudicate advantage or disadvantage with a d6 plus or minus, and then check which dice is hope or fear, which one's higher. So there's a few extra steps in there, but it's balanced out by the fact that on any given turn, and I say turn very loosely because there is no initiative system in Daggerheart, you're only making one action roll, and then the spotlight moves around the table to another player or to an adversary, and that's in combat. So I am excited to get going with Daggerheart. I'm a huge Critical Role fan. I've been running games in Exandria for years now. I've run so many one-shots, and I have run a Wildemount and Tal'Dorei campaign that's been going on for almost 2 years now, and I'm about 6 months into running Call of the Netherdeep as well in my other home game. So, not to mention having watched all of the series of Critical Role. So, huge Critical Role fan, so making a campaign frame of Exandria for Daggerheart, I'm just like, okay, no problem. Clickety, click, click, click. Here we go. I posted what I had written in one of my Discord channels, and I said, I might not run this for you guys, but what do you think about this? And 3 of my players were like, that looks great. I would totally play that. And one of my other players is like, why you gotta tease us like this, man? And I didn't apologize. I just took that as a compliment. So that is my thoughts in brief about running 291 sessions of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition since the new core books dropped, and Daggerheart.